morning to you all across this great country of ours. What about this song takes you back, doesn't it? The soundtrack of our lives, as we like to say on the Today Show, live from stunning Melbourne this morning.
Yeah, and for you kids who love double denim these days, these are its early roots, because today marks the 30th anniversary of iconic Aussie album Whispering Jack.
Gee, it looks like it's in Port Douglas there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. We're going to sit down with one of our favourite sons, the legendary John Farnham, a little later in the show. It's quite an anniversary.
Sure is.
But right now it is back to Sylvia in the studio. Hey, Syl.
Hey guys, good morning again. Thousands of parents claiming government benefits are financially better off not getting a job, according to new figures in The Australian this morning. The data shows family benefits can total more than the average wage of a nurse or a teacher in this country, which is more than $45,000 tax-free dollars a year. Christopher Pyne and Anthony Albanese join us now. We're going to climb into that in just a moment. But first, gentlemen, I'd like to get your thoughts, of course, on the Dreamworld disaster, which has dominated the headlines this week and also had a profound impact on people right across the country. Christopher, is there anything that can be done to prevent a disaster like that happening again?
Well, Sylvia, obviously it's a terrible tragedy. You know, I'm the father of 4 children and, you know, they love to have fun and we all just want to go to things like Dreamworld and Disney's around the world if they get the chance. And it's the last thing you'd ever think would happen is a terrible tragedy at an amusement park like that. So I think every parent, every Australian has really been affected by this week. In terms of what can be done, it's a very highly regulated area already. We need to see what the police reports are, what the investigation shows, whether there was human error, whether it was mechanical error, and then obviously try and do the things to make sure it can never happen again, because it's a terrible tragedy for us.
It's still hard to comprehend, isn't it,
It
Anthony?
is.
It certainly is. I've been on that ride with my son and my wife, and seeing that incredible footage was... it would have been just terrible, not just for the families, but for anyone who was there on that day. And I think at this stage, what we need to do is just reach out and hope that the families somehow can struggle their way through this.
We have been assured by police that there will be a very thorough investigation, so we will, of course, watch that with interest. All right, let's speak about this welfare story on the front page of The Australian this morning. As I mentioned, $45,000 tax-free dollars a year for someone not lifting a finger. Christopher, we know Christian Porter is determined to crack down on welfare. He's obviously given this data to The Australian this morning. How are you going to rein it in, though?
Well, I mean, the good side of this story is that Australia has a very generous safety net, which is a good part of our country. We're a very wealthy country, wealthier than almost every other country in the world, apart from, I think, Norway and maybe Switzerland. So we do have a generous safety net. But also people need to be part of our society, part of our community, working, making a difference. So Christian Porter is trying to rein in welfare. Well, he's got legislation in the Senate right now.
The paid parental leave?
No, not paid parental leave. That's just one part of it. There are other pieces of legislation that he's putting through the Parliament to try and ensure that people have an incentive to work rather than stay home. And the Labor Party and the Greens and some of the crossbenchers haven't indicated they're going to support it.
One of the first measures he's floated is a $96 million plan to trial a program of intervention. That's just spending more money.
Well, he's trying to get... Intervention is basically trying to get... particularly single-parent households, the opportunities to get back into the workforce, to get training, to get back into the workforce. That's a positive thing. $96 million, I can tell you, to try and do that is a drop in the ocean compared to the billions...
$96 million is a lot of money.
It's a drop in the ocean compared to the billions of dollars that we're trying to save by having welfare reform, which the Labor Party is blocking in the Senate.
I would
with
suggest that it doesn't seem like a drop in the ocean to mothers who are pregnant at the moment and potentially about to lose a lot of their paid parental leave.
It's very useful for the single mums who are actually trying to get training and get back into the workforce.
All right, Anthony, your government, of course, helped us to get to this point. What needs to be done about it?
Well, we need to make sure that in any changes that are proposed, we look at what the impact would be. The government's proposed changes to paid parental leave will impact on 80,000 working mothers in particular. And it's a disadvantage for them being in the workforce if these cuts to paid parental leave go through.
But that wasn't the question.
Just quickly, Christopher, how far is Malcolm Turnbull willing to negotiate to get the paid parental leave changes through? July 1, October 1?
Well, Anthony didn't answer your question. He just talked about how we should spend more money.
This is the new question. So
Anthony's
July
answer
1
was,
or
we need to
October
spend more
1?
money.
How far is he
we'll
willing to negotiate?
with the Senate because that's the way that our democracy works. Now, what we're trying to do is say to people, if you've got 18 weeks from the Commonwealth Government, but you've got a more generous employer scheme, why should the taxpayer pay you both the 18 weeks on the taxpayer plus your own private scheme? Now, I think that's perfectly reasonable. Labor says, no, we want to pay more money.
Well, the difference...
All right,
Well, but the fact
coalition's
is
trying to rein it in.
that
Labor's trying to spend more.
People have given up conditions. That's been... they've given up wage increases in order to get paid parental leave into their awards, and they shouldn't be disadvantaged as a result.
It's a
because
bottomless pit
paid
for
The
Labor.
parental
PM is
leave
going to have to negotiate.
helps productivity.
Very hard to get that through, and we'll wait and see where that ends up. Gentlemen, Carl
he'll do
wants
it.
your tips for the Melbourne Cup. What are they?
Hartnell for me.
Hartnell?
Oh, look, I think a horse will win.
Oh, Albo, you're as bad as Richard Wilkins.
You should join the race. You do well.
You go and find a
I'm
fence
holding
to
back,
sit on.
but if I put
Albanese
forward
coming
my
around the
tip,
corner.
it
All right.
might change the odds. you
Well,
see.
I wouldn't.
that's
I'm not
right.
sure I'd go with you. You didn't necessarily back a winner into the PM's office, Christopher Pine, judging by the
Malcolm
polls
Turnbull?
this week. So I might stick with
I bet you
Anthony
didn't back
Albanese on
Turnbull.
Cup Day.
I bet you
Carl, leaves
stayed
it
out
to
of
you.
all that.
Malcolm Turnbull was the winner, and I voted for him, as I said back
Tell
then.
you what, didn't she dig the knife in there?
She's giving everybody something.
Hey,
Bit of editorialising going on there.
I agree with Christopher, by the way. I agree with Christopher. Hartnell's going to win. I think still to